It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new stuff. The band, of course, ROXY BLUE. That was the Silver Lining from their new release, which is simply called ROXY BLUE. And on the line right now and here in the video to give us the story and maybe be the silver lining in our very long wait for some ROXY BLUE, it is vocalist Todd Poole. Todd, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I am awesome, man. First and foremost, dude, excellent record. It is it's very refreshing to get just a straight up rock record that, you know, doesn't really pull any punches and, you know, doesn't feel old, but at the same time keeps that classic sound, man. So it's a very cool record.
Cool, man. Thank you, man. You know, that was important to us that we did a record that wasn't an extension of Want Some.
Sure.
Of course, it's been 27 years, so, you know, there's a lot of scars that happened in 27 years and you got to pull out. So I think if I would have wrote a record that was an extension of Want Some, I don't feel like it would have been honest for the fans or myself or, you know, the guys in the band. And so when Frontiers approached us about doing a record, I mean, we all were really excited, so I got right to writing immediately. Sure. And so, yeah, man, it's a you know, as you know, it's a lot different than the 1992 Want Some record. Sure. And but I feel like it's a good, honest record, and I feel it's, you know, it does sound totally different, but there's a little bit of touch the old stuff, and especially in some of the solos and stuff. But yeah, man, we had a lot of fun recording it. And, of course, you know, in 27 years, you got a lot more subject matter to write about than sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So
exactly. Well, and the thing too, is if you put out a record today that sounded like Want Some, then people would automatically write it off as just you know, a cash-in type thing, but you didn't. Well,
exactly. Like that's the one thing with us. It was important that we didn't come across as just let's do a one-off and be done with it. We're looking to move on, and phase 2 of our career here, and you know, Frontiers has given us a canvas to do that, and you know, these days it's really about live. You know, you make a record. We just did a show with Warrant this past weekend in Chattanooga. And the few shows that we've done so far, the one thing that I really, really love to see is the smiling faces, man. Sure. You know, everybody's out there and they're happy to be back in that zone. You know, a lot of them never left that era. As far as, you know, that was a fun era.
Sure.
We all know how much fun it was to rock out back then. And, you know, like I've said this before, you know, it seems like somebody walked up to you back then and said, okay, enough is enough. Wipe that stupid smile off your face. We're going to be depressed.
Right.
So I actually like the Seattle music scene myself. I'm a big Black Sabbath fan. Okay. So a lot of that to me was an extension of the Black Sabbath music. But great to have a new record out, and it's finally. I'm glad, you know. I've been writing a bunch over the years, you know. I mean, with Saliva and my band 714, and then I didn't do any much writing, but I also played with my father-in-law. I played drums with Jimmy Jameson from Survivor. That was my father-in-law.
Sure.
So stayed busy with music, man, and you know. Having the new record out has given us life to get back together. Of course, Sid's not with us.
Right.
He opted out, and he's got a successful dentistry right now. Sure. And but we got Jeff Cochran in here, and he is. We finally have a 100% new ROXY BLUE, and just ready to get out for people to hear us live. And and ready for everybody to hear this record that's coming out August 9th. We're super pumped, man.
No kidding, man. Well, let me ask you, Todd, just because you did mention Saliva, which obviously you did spend a few years with Saliva. Did that perspective of being in a not only a different band but a different styled musical band, did that help you as a writer and as an artist grow? Because it really forces you to step out of, quote unquote, the 80s rock scene and you go into a more modern sound. It definitely makes you change the way that you do a lot of things. I mean, some of it will be the same. Obviously, you get up on stage with a microphone and you bring it, but the writing and the ability to create is very different. If you'd have gone to that band and written, like you did in 1992, you'd have been out on your ass, by 3 seconds after the first audition,
Well, yeah. Well, the deal is, so I actually started Saliva.
Okay.
So when Wayne and I started that band, we'd already been we've been playing together and writing. I was kind of writing different kind of stuff in some bands I was in. So when Saliva got together, it was different. I was the drummer in that band, and right. Josie did a lot of the lyric writing and pretty much, the majority of it. I was helpful in creating a lot of the music and did come up with some of the lyrics, but I kind of took a back seat as far as not being the front man and right. not being that guy. And I wanted to do that. And that band was just magically happened the way it happened. But yes, it did influence me in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Because, man, I just didn't write that way I did back then. Me and Sid wrote most of Want Some.
Right.
So a lot of it did come from the way Sid played guitar. And I don't know that I tried to change. I just think life had a way of changing everybody. It has a way of changing people. And I just think that I evolved as a writer naturally, but all those influences like Saliva, in 714, I had a band called Screaming Jesus before Saliva. I just think that all of that, and plus all the influences of music.
Right.
And I'm a big 70s guy, so I like a lot of the older music. That's what I listen to.
Sure.
I think all of that just evolved for me to become, to maybe make what I've made today, which I think the Roxy sounds different than the 714 stuff. I almost had to do that. It's like I didn't want to make an extension of what I've done basically as a solo guy.
Sure.
But and plus, I think and I always have to say this, I think one of the important things of the new Roxy record that is important to me is when Josh and Scotty T, bass and drums, were put on this record, they have some kind of chemistry between them, an unspoken chemistry, should I say, that they can just make it happen. And I think what they bring to the table, their delivery is very intense. And I think that enhances what the song becomes or what it started out to be. So,
sure. Yeah. Well, and you know what? And it shows if you listen to the new record. Like I was listening to it yesterday, and the one song that really jumps out at me as not typical, as an atypical to at least to the old sound, and actually to most of this record too, is the song "Scream," which has a very different modernish type of a sound, especially at the beginning, and it has a classic type of a sound, but at the same time, it's a song that sounds like, it could play very well on modern rock radio today, and nobody would bat an eye and say, hey, that's a band that came from, the past era, Well, yeah, and that's the one thing. We do have that stigma attached to us that we were a band from back in the day. Sure. And, that is, and I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of that. I had a lot of fun. We all did. Sure.
and sometimes it's hard to step out of that, you know,
right.
in people's eyes. And I did not try to do that when I wrote this record, but and thank you for saying that about Scream. So Scream, in all the songs, I think hopefully naturally people will give it a chance and say, hey man, you know, I'm not going to predetermine what this band is because of back then, and let's just listen to it with a fresh ear. And you like it, and if you don't, you don't. But at least you're honest about it,
right?
You know?
Exactly. Well, you know what? You know what the weird thing is, man, and I know you know this because you've obviously been in the business for ever. It's the fans will not care. The fans don't necessarily mind if you take a chance or you try something new or you grow as an artist. It's the record company people, that have the real problem, or the radio people. They put your name on a spreadsheet and say, oh, well, you had a record with this band, so we can't program you. They don't listen to the songs. We've on this show anyway, we've always talked about this fact that if you let music fans that are supposedly the people that are programming radio, if you let music fans pick the songs, you would have an entirely different music scene. 100%. You probably would. 99 out of every 100 bands that you know from the radio probably wouldn't have had careers. Fair?
Man, I like you already. I gotta tell you. And that's so true, because I've always, so with you saying that, it's kind of cool because we go play shows and you see the amount of people that show up to these shows and these festivals, and they're all having a great time. And then you have to ask yourself, why did anything have to go away?
Right. These
people didn't go away. Somebody up there, the powers to be, decided to push a button and say, this is what you're going to listen to now. And so you're right. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd be like, well, look, let's just let the people decide what they want to listen to on mainstream radio. And thank God we have podcasts, simultaneous, all these radio outlets now that do let you play the deep tracks and let you do some of the stuff instead of being force-fed what they think you need to listen to.
No, you're right. And the obvious, as you just mentioned, the obvious proof is in the pudding. If radio was feeding people what they like to hear or what they want to hear, you wouldn't have an audience for, shows like ours or podcasts or, internet radio or satellite radio. That audience developed 100% because they weren't getting fed what they wanted from commercial radio.
Well, right. You guys saved rock and roll, dude, and that's the whole deal. I mean, it's in a nutshell. Because I always hear, for years I've been hearing, man, rock's dead. Right? Rock died on mainstream radio because they decided that that's not what wanted to hear, but that's not what the people thought. That's what they were force-fed on the radio. I call it the Ma Sharona syndrome. If you hear something, so you can hate something, but if you're force-fed it enough, you find yourself singing it whether you hate it or not. So, but the rock and roll is never going to die. I don't care 100 years from now, granted that the world's still spinning, rock and roll will be here. I mean, it's the base of everything. Blues and rock are the base of every kind of music that's out there. So,
yeah, and the distinct talent that came, that's another thing that drives me crazy is you listen to today's music, and I don't hate all of today's music. I could do without some of the
most of it.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'll be honest. I have the widest range of musical taste as you could get. Anything from rap to death metal and everything in between, I'll listen to, and I'll listen to it fairly, not just okay, that's there. But it just seems like today's music. It seems like the core elements of what made bands of any style back then not good or good is missing today, and that's artist development. There's none of that now. Now it's you put out a record and you better have 2 or 3 songs that hit or you're done. And it's just sad that they don't thinking about the past, think of a band like Journey. Journey had 4 albums that were duds before they ever made a mark. You won't get that today. If you did that today, you'd have to go through 4 projects to, instead of 4 albums. About it.
And then you also got, the world's just moving so fast.
Right.
Everybody's in a hurry. The days of you can't go to the store and buy a record and unpackage it and like you got a gift, and you open it up and you look at the pictures and you're listening to the whole record instead of going, well, I'm just going to download what I heard on the radio and let me just get through this real quick instead of really soaking it in.
Right.
Because I'm a deep track guy. I mean, I always have liked the deeper tracks. And on top of that, you almost have to put a metal song on now to even hear a guitar solo.
Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're absolutely right, man. So
and thank God I listen to that stuff. So
exactly. Well, Todd, one of the things that you're doing that is definitely for musical fans and not for not just musical fans, but it is geared at music fans. Is you're doing you or the band? I'm not sure if it's you or you and the band, but you guys are appearing at the Rock and Pod Expo in August. Is that correct?
All of us. Scotty, I don't know if he's going to be out of town. He's going to try to make it. Okay. But Josh and Jeff and I are actually going to play some acoustic songs.
Excellent.
And meet and greet. And I found out yesterday that I think we're going to have I think Frontier's going to send over a limited amount of a few CDs to give out for the new CD. So, yeah, man, we're super excited, and our newest video is going to be hitting August 2nd.
Okay.
So everything's happening right at once on that weekend. Are you going to be there?
I'm not sure yet. I mean, for me, it's all scheduled. I want to be there, and I'm very good friends with Chris Czynszak, and
he's an awesome guy.
He's great, man.
So have you been there before?
I have not gone before. This would be my first year. My life, unfortunately, is outside of playing this game. I have multiple businesses, so
I got you, man. Well, I'll let you know. So if you do end up coming,
okay.
My 2 buddies are going to be there with me too. Rick Rule from Every Mother's Nightmare and Anthony from Tora. We're all 3 going to be there. So, okay. We would have a whole lot to talk to you about.
Okay.
and trust me, I'm kind of glad my other guys are going because I'm going to give them an outlet and tell them, go over there and talk to that dude, man. Because they kind of kick back and let me do it all, and it's cool, but I like to get them known a little bit too,
No question, man. Well, Todd, obviously, man, it's a different era than when Roxy first came out. It's a whole different business. Is it difficult for you guys as a band to bring Roxy Blue from a business standpoint into today? It's so different today than it was then, and on every level, the way people listen to music, the way people discover music, the way you get gigs even. It's just such a different animal now. At least it seems that way. Has it been different for you, and is it easy, hard, kind of the same?
Man, that's a great question, and I was actually talking to Anthony Corder yesterday about this. Mm-hmm. Dude, it's hard.
Right.
And it's harder. Because back in the day, man, we didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we just played. That's all we did, man. Right. We played and went to the next gig and went to a photo shoot. They picked us up. We took it, and, we were signed to Geffen, and they took care of us. These days, it's a lot different. You got to do your own promotion, a lot of self-promotion. Mm-hmm. Finding the right booking agent that's going to book you. And a lot of the agencies out there that are really big, they want you playing 250 shows a year.
Right.
That costs money because you don't have the tour support you used to have. So, to do a fly out and do that's what's cool to us. We like to do that. Right. I mean, getting on a bus and traveling around for months and months at a time, it is very financially crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because so you don't have that big tour support you used to have. So, we're all trying to work this out right now to where we can do a bunch of gigs and and make it feasible. It's not about making a whole lot of money. It's about not losing a whole lot of money.
Sure.
But it's weird because we personally want to play everywhere. I've done Japan, Canada, Italy, Sweden. All these folks want us to come play, and that's going to be in Frontiers because it sure ain't coming out of my pocket. But we want to play everywhere. And, you're in Ohio?
I am in Cleveland.
Right on, because we used to have, hello, Cleveland. Yeah, we used to, we loved playing in Ohio back in the day. And so we are planning on coming there. Awesome. And we want to play. But to answer your question, it's hard, man. It's rough. And I would say if we didn't have our deal with Frontiers, I mean, I did with 714. I mean, just getting your stuff out there, it's a struggle. You have to depend on guys like you and, the podcast, all these people that can get your songs played out there. Right. And then you got to get on the phone. You got to hammer it out, man. You got to try to get you a gig, and then you got to find out where you're staying, and it's a lot.
It and the thing is, a lot of people will celebrate the internet. People will say, well, the internet gives everybody a chance to be heard and blah, blah, blah. And they're right. The internet does. And that's exactly why the internet makes it even harder too, because anybody can plug a guitar into a computer anymore and record something or a microphone or whatnot. It does open the door for a lot of people, but at the same time, it opens the door for so many people that the cream doesn't necessarily rise to the top anymore.
You're right about that. I mean, there's a lot of records that can be made right in your bedroom, and they don't know how to play an instrument. Right. They can't get together and play. I'm a Sound City kind of guy. I like to get in a room with guys. I'm old school. Sure. And jam. There's an emotional feeling when you play music with other people and make music together. That's the reason I do it in the first place. That's the reason all of us do it. So, I will say our approach to this is much different than it used to be. Okay. Of course, back in the day, things moved really, really fast. I want to be a rock star, dude. Right. I want to be a rock star. Right. And, time goes on, and being a rock star is kind of overrated because you forget about the love of why you did it in the first place. And that's where I'm at now. I think just the fact that we're having an opportunity to get back out and play for people and have fun doing it, that speaks volumes to me. So I think it's even cooler because that pressure of not trying to be something you're not is there now. We don't have that pressure. We just go out and have a good time, and it is what it is. And we try to go out and do a show. We try to lay it on the table, and we like to leave it on the table. Right. Just bring it to everybody, give everybody their money's worth, and have a big party with everybody. And at the end of the day, we can high five and sign some autographs and hug some necks and take some pictures. We're cool. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly, man. Well, we definitely got to tell everybody one more time. I know we're not talking about it a ton, but it is a great record. I'm not even, it's not a bullshit thing for me to say it because I've been known to tell people that their records are not very good. but I am telling you, and I'm definitely telling the fans, this new record is self-titled. It's just called ROXY BLUE. It is a great record. If you like classic hard rock with a metal tinge to it, this is your record. It's what you would expect without sounding like I said before, without sounding dated. It's kind of that Skid Row Warrant hybrid thing, but it's not, and it's not hair metal-y. It's definitely more rock than hair metal sounding. It's just a great record, man.
Well, thank you for saying that, man. I appreciate it, and I'm sure I speak for all the guys because we're excited about the record, and to have you say that really means a lot. So
cool. Well, I'll tell you what, Todd. As a tradition on the show, we always let the artist pick a closing track to wrap the interview up with, and maybe tell us a quick story about it. So, what would you like us to wrap this up with?
Oh, let's see. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what. Since we've been talking about the genres of music and all that, let's do, we'll do Rockstar Junkie.
Okay.
I tell you what. Do you want to play Scream? That's your song, ain't it?
Go ahead, man. I like it. I like that song.
Well,
I'll play them both if you want.
Okay,
how about if I play them both?
Scream is basically about not letting anybody tell you what to do and speaking up for yourself and not be shelled and not be put in like cattle and this is the way it's got to be. This is what you have to be, and don't be so timid that you let somebody else tell you who you are.
Right.
That song is about coming out and speaking up for who you are, and God put you on this earth to be yourself, and you don't have to be anybody but yourself and be the best you can be. So that's what Scream is about. And Rockstar Junkie, that song is for all the fans that are out there carrying the flag for rock and roll. Because all of us bands that played in that era, we loved what we did and we rocked out, and then the rug got yanked out from under us, and now we're all out there trying to keep the flag going and going. We go to these shows and we see all the fans out there doing it. So that's what Rockstar Junkie's about, is just carrying that flag for rock and roll and not letting that die.
Awesome, man. Well, here, we'll play both of them right now. That way you get a good solid taste of it. Here's two from ROXY BLUE right here on your Classic Metal Show.